pitching is not always the best idea ever. Pitching is not the easiest thing to count on long term. So the fact that the 5 or 6 best assets in the organization are all pitchers is a little bit worrisome. And I think, the team bet on Smoke, Ackley, and Montero, and they haven't, been good. So that's a little bit of an issue. But I think there's hope to an extent. How long that hope is going to be deferred, we'll have to see. I would say I'm less optimistic than I have been in 3 years.
I think it's really easy to think, okay, the Mariners have all this young talent that's getting better and they're on the right path, but what you kind of forget about it, that every team is kind of developing at the same time, so you have to put it within the context. And are the Mariners making progress relative to everybody else? Well, we don't pay that much attention to everybody else, so it's hard to say, but I can't imagine that they are. And I anticipated a lot more by now. But I guess we have a second half of the season, so we'll see.
They're also starting from a pretty terrible, terrible baseline.
Right, yeah.
Next. Yeah?
Okay, so Dayton Moore, Kansas City talks about the 8-year time frame. I was wondering if you want your thoughts were on that and how you saw the
So the question was about Dayton Moore talking about the 8-year time frame. I don't think you want to do anything that copies what Dayton Moore does. So I would just say if Dayton Moore thinks it's 8 years, it should only be 4. Because Dayton Moore has to undo what Dayton Moore does.
You have to remember, he brought in Uniansky Benford twice.
Twice. On purpose. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's, I would say in this day and age, with big market teams getting smarter, the Yankees and Red Sox and some of these teams, the Cubs are figuring it out, the Dodgers now are starting to figure it out. I think that's going to make it harder for these mid-market teams. I think that what Billy Beane did 10 years ago is going to be much tougher. It's not going to be as easy to go find all these good on-base percentage guys who no one wants anymore. So I would say, it shouldn't be 8 years, but maybe 3 or 5 is a legitimate window for when you should be able to go from bad to good if you make the right moves and if those guys develop. But the reality is we're seeing right now, you can make the right moves and sometimes those guys don't develop. Dustin Ackley was the right pick, and the fact that Dustin Ackley is not producing, there's not much they can do about that. Most scouts love Jesus Montero. There's not much they can do about the fact that he's not hitting. You can make the right moves and it still not work. I mean, the Pirates have been bad for 20 years, so I don't think you can just say, hey, I'm going young and I'm going to be good in 8 years. I don't think it really works that way. The question was how we grade the draft for the Mariners. Incomplete, I think is right. I mean, Zunino played his first pro game last night. He hasn't torn his arm off, so that's good. No one died.
Yeah, I guess that's right, because it was considered such a limited draft talent anyway, that even if the Mariners don't get a lot out of it, who is going to get a lot out of it? And there's just no way to know right now.
Yeah, too early to grade the draft. But we can ask Mac when he gets here. I'm sure Mac will have a 23rd rounder that we've never heard of who's going to be amazing. Speak up as much as you can. Yeah. So I think Jesus Montero this year has been a league average hitter who provides next to no defensive value. Yeah, all right. That is true. He does have fewer fastballs than Miguel Olivo as his player. I think that
talk about resetting expectations.
Yeah, damning with faint praise, I think is the key there. I don't think that we should give up on Jesus Montero. I don't think Jesus Montero is a bust. I do think. I've had concerns about Jesus Montero for a while. I wasn't a huge fan of him when they were going to trade Cliff Lee for him. I wasn't a huge fan of him when they traded Mike Pineda for him. I think there's a reality that Jesus Montero is probably a DH with questionable plate discipline who doesn't have present plus power. And that's an interesting package, right? If you're a bat-only guy and you don't pull the ball all the time for power and you don't draw walks, how good can you be? I mean, in 3 or 4 years, maybe he'll do some of those things, but for the next year or two, can we expect Jesus Montero to be a cleanup hitter? Probably not. The question is, do the Mariners have an edge in international scouting? I mean, they certainly do with Bob Engel. I mean, I think he's proven that he can sign tremendous talent from Latin America, Korea, China, Italy. They're all over the globe. The new CBA has put a bit of a damper on that. And so, if you didn't know, the new collective bargaining agreement basically flattened what teams were allowed to spend in international. This year is $2.9 million. Every team got the exact same budget, whether the Yankees or the Royals or whoever. Everyone had $2.9 million to sign guys. So when you're limited in your allocation, if you scout really well, but you can only sign 2 or 3 of those guys, it doesn't help you as much as it used to be when the Mariners could open academies and all these places and sign a lot more guys. So I think their competitive advantage in Latin America and across the globe has been somewhat limited by the CBA, which is one of the reasons I don't like the CBA, to be honest. I mean, I think taking away an organizational strength from a team like the Mariners, it's not great. If you take away their ability to compete in Latin America and you make them just compete on Major League payroll, that's tougher. So.
Yes.
Jeff is the quiet one.
What am I supposed to say after that?
Yeah, I
I have
don't know.
no disagreement.
Yes, Jeff and I think alike.
I mean, it's the first year of the CBA too, so we just don't know how it's going to play out. There's so many things about the draft, and we'll see how it goes. But intuitively, it seems like what you're saying is correct. I can't think of any reason why I wouldn't do it.
We were counting on Smoke Ashley and Montero to produce the offense.
Yeah.
And they haven't been.
Yeah.
What's your perception of what the issue is? That they're not hitting, or is it because of the camp, or are they figuring out which fits for them, or what?
So the question is about Smoke, Montero, and Ackley and why they're not hitting and what the issue is. I'd say there's different issues.
Yeah, I mean, your first question was, are they just not hitting? And yeah, no, they're just not hitting, and they were earlier, and they're not anymore. And with Ackley, it's hard. So we've both kind of identified some strike zone, what seem like holes, where he has the high inside fastball that he swings at too much, and he takes a lot of outside pitches that get called strikes on lefties. But then I was looking at Mike Trout, that's what a good position player looks like, and he's on the Angels. It's been a while since we had one, and he's fantastic. But he actually swings at even fewer pitches in the strike zone than Dustin Ackley does, and he's obviously having no problem having a lot of success. So I think there are some subtleties in there that are hard for me to pick up on. But what's so frustrating for me about Dustin Ackley is that unlike Smoke and Montero, he was supposed to be polished. He was supposed to be the one who arrives quickly, and is, sort of what he was last year, just good. Not as good as he was at the start, but to see the step back, it starts to make me wonder about something more systemic, but I don't know the answer. I honestly don't know who does.
Yeah.
Maybe Dave.
I don't think I have the answer. But I think with Ackley, I think what we're seeing is growing pains and adjustments that need to be made that haven't been made yet. I'm not super worried. I think Dustin Ackley's going to hit. I think anyone who's ever seen Dustin Ackley hit thinks he's going to hit.
You may say that about Montero?
Yeah, a lot of people think that about Montero too. I'm a little less sold. Smoke, I would say I'm just not sold anymore. I think, at this point we've seen Justin Smoke say that's as hard as I can hit a ball and it goes 350 feet. That's a problem when you're a first baseman who doesn't do anything else. When you're supposed to be a power hitting first baseman and you can't hit a ball out of the park, even a big park, there's not a lot left, right?
That's a question I have for you, and I'm going to interrupt you here. But you were more in tight with scouts, and so you probably talked to him. But when Smoke was coming up, he must have been, big power potential, and he just never grew into it? Or
so the funny thing is, like, when Smoke was at South Carolina, and then even early days in the Texas system, he was kind of billed as like a switch-hitting John Overwood type. Lots of doubles, good defense. The good defense thing is not true at all. Like, I don't know who thought of that, but Justin Smoke is not a great defensive first baseman. But he was supposed to be a high doubles guy. Justin Smoke has fewer doubles than anyone in baseball, period. As of like 3 weeks ago, he had fewer doubles than Steven Strasburg, and Steven Strasburg is a pitcher. I think that the issue isn't, for me, the lack of home runs. I don't think anyone ever saw Justin Smoke as a 30, 35 home run guy. He was supposed to be a 35, 40 double guy with 15 or 20 home runs, and that was supposed to play really well in this park. And why he doesn't hit doubles and he hits pop-ups instead, I don't know. But he does. He hits a lot of pop-ups and very few doubles, and that's a significant problem.
The other frustrating part about Smoke, Ackley, Montero, and a lot of the other players is you look at things like their swing rates, their contact rates. To varying degrees, are good or bad. But for the individual players, they're not really taking a step back there. It's just once they make contact, it's going nowhere, and that's across the team. And
I think that's one thing we'll ask Mac and Kingston about is weather a factor? Is the park a factor? I think what we're seeing is, we were talking about this on the way over here, SafeCo is playing this year, whether it's small sample or not, it's playing like the most extreme run depressing stadium in the history of baseball, basically. I mean, it is insane what the offensive levels of SafeCo are. So is that coloring our view of these guys? It's possible. I mean, we might need to say, hey, look, SafeCo right now is Petco on steroids. We can't expect these guys to be or Petco without steroids. I don't know. Parks take steroids, maybe. Confusing. Don't quote me on that. But I think what we're seeing is this park is killing. I mean, the Rangers scored 3 runs here last night. Like, good offensive teams come in here and they don't score either. So we might just need to say, hey, look, they're not hitting the ball, it's not going very far. Maybe it's not them. Maybe there's like this weird ghost in center field knocking balls down. Let's get some ones up in the back.
On that same note, what is your opinion on bringing the fences in?
So the question is about bringing the fences in. I know this is an issue that there's split on. I think I am in favor of adjusting the fences in left center field. I don't want to bring all the fences in and make this a hitter's ballpark. I'm not a huge fan of the asymmetrical way that SafeCo kills right-handed pull power. I think it makes lineup construction and roster construction a real problem. So if you're basically the way SafeCo's aligned right now, you want left-handed pull power. That's what plays well in this park up until this year. Now nothing plays well in this park, but that's what used to play well in this park. So if you're trying to design left-handed pull power, there's only so many positions you can get that at, right? There's no left-handed pull power shortstops. They don't exist. And you can only have so many left-handers in a lineup before you have a significant platoon problem, and the other team can bring in a lefty specialist and run through your lineup. So if you can't recruit and attract and develop good right-handed power hitters because your stadium kills them, that's a significant lineup imbalance problem. So I would like to see SafeCo adjusted so that it's not so unfair to right-handers.
Balanced.
Yeah, balance is really the idea. I don't think it needs to be a perfect circle, but I think that left center field area is crazy. So the question is whether that's why we lost Beltre. I think that certainly didn't help, right?
Yeah,
Adrian Beltre knows that part sucks.
He also probably wanted to win.
Yeah, right. I think.
And he, Boston and Texas.
But Scott Morris was his agent, got him a one-year deal to get his money back. He went to Fenway Park, which has a 320-foot wall that's 40 feet high and promotes doubles, and they got him a $96 million contract the next year. Agents are smart. They know where they can go to get their clients a lot of money, and SafeCo is not that for hitters. And no hitter's ever going to come here on a short-term deal to reestablish their money. And you can say, okay, that's fine, we don't need those kind of hitters, but you need hitters eventually. You have to be able to sign hitters. And if the park keeps you from being able to sign a significant part of the population, then you have to pay more for the other part of the population. It's an inefficiency.
Yeah,
But we can keep getting Kevin Miller.
That's awesome.
I mean, we have had years and years to think about moving in the fences because it's been a conversation since SafeCo was built. And from my standpoint now, I don't know how expensive it is to move in the fences, probably some millions of dollars, if that. I mean, you can just push them, I don't know. But
Fences you can rent.
yeah, I mean, that's what we had to arrange. We had to arrange from every game. But I think I just kind of wanted to have it removed. Just if you move it, yeah, just I don't. Maybe that's not the most rational perspective, but if you just pay whatever the money is, don't sign up Kevin Millwood next year, move in the fences, and then it's just done. And nobody will talk about the fences anymore unless it's playing like this year, in which case you have to move the fences to the infield, and then move in our Kawasaki. Still won't hit a home run. But I think if you just move them in and take it away, even if it doesn't really accomplish anything, at least that's one less talking point, one less thing that people think is the problem when it's probably not the problem.
One thing you'll notice is that Jeff is tired of talking about Mariner baseball. So his solution to everything is let's do things so we have to stop talking about it.
I just want experiments. I'm tired of this experiment.
Well, I'll take the other way. I think they should move all the fences back. They're not hitting home runs anyway, so don't let the other team do it. Yeah, 450 to every field. Like, just stop, guys. You're not doing it.
I like that idea. Okay, so this will be the last question, and then we're going to bring in the Mariner guys. And then, just so you guys know, when the official Q&A part is over, and they open up the fences and everyone else comes in, we're going to go hang out there, and there will be more times to ask us random questions that we want answers to. So if we didn't get to your question, we're sorry, but we might get to it later. So.
Do you think just moving the line to below the old-time scoreboard, do you think just moving the line to below the old-time scoreboard would work?
Well, so moving the yellow line below the scoreboard. I mean, as Jose Lopez demonstrated, that's an easy place to hit a home run. Just the power alley that's death. I mean, nobody except for other teams can hit the ball out of the bullpen. And so I think down the line, both lines, it's pretty fair. But there's not a lot of guys, except for Jose Lopez, who exclusively hit home runs down the line. Justin Smoke, all of his home runs are line drives right there, all 2 of them.
Andrew has 11. He just doesn't even double. He's so weird.
Home runs.
Yeah, he hits home runs.
Moving the yellow line below the out-of-town scoreboard would certainly, it would help, I assume. I don't know how it would hurt, but the Mariners would probably find a way. But really the problem is that Nikon sign in the T-Mobile area. Like, there's just, nobody hits home runs over there. And
And I think the reality, we can talk about this when the guys come in and actually work here, but I don't think the fence depth is really so much I mean, Colorado's fences are really far back, but the ball flies there, right? The ball doesn't fly here. So you can't just look at it from a dimensional standpoint and say 410 is too deep, 390 is, on the West Coast, it's a lot different than on the East Coast. Humidity plays a big factor, weather plays a big factor, and I think the reality is maybe no one knows what the right dimensions are for this green layer, weird sea level stadium that we're playing at that is killing offense. And so, you might look at it and say, bringing it into 380, that's ridiculous. But maybe 380 is the right depth here. We don't know.
Well, that's why I said they should install a dehumidifier.
That's an idea. I've got one in my basement. It's awesome.
How deep is Petco's right center? Do you know?
Like 400.
Isn't that like the most impossible home run in baseball?
Yeah, no one can hit it out to right center in Petco. But you can actually hit it out to left. Petco's actually kind of similar. And you can hit it out to left. That's why they traded for Carlos Quentin.
That's why Adrian is also so good. He only
right. Adrian Gonzalez went the other way. But I think San Diego's running the same issue is like, how do they get hitters there, right? Like their best hitter is, like a guy we got rid of. Jesus Guzman was good there for a couple months, and they're like, sweet, we found a hitter, and now he's terrible again. So, I think these teams in these extreme pitchers' parts don't have the advantage that they thought.
I think Petco is, at least they're leaning toward moving the fences in this coming
Yeah, they're talking about it. And the New York Mets brought in the fences in Citi Field. I think we're seeing around the baseball these teams in these extreme